think. Let me just double check. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Can you all hear us and see us good? Just going to double check before we get started. There we go. Check. Awesome. All right. Hey, how's it going, everyone? So there's just a bit of a lag, John, just so you know.
All right, let's go.
All right.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. All right. So, guys, what is up? I am Tammy, and I brought along my friend, John. I hope you brought your snacks and your drinks because we're going to have some fun tonight. All right, guys. So, look, we may be feeling isolated, alone, and overwhelmed, but we will all get through this together and come out a stronger nursing family on the other side. So what is a nursing family? We believe that cooperation is more important than competition. We believe that we can all do this, guys. And we believe that we are all in this together. And that is why tonight, tomorrow night, and every night this week, we're going to be here for you. So like I said, tonight I brought along my friend, John. I hope I'm pointing the right way.
I think you're pointing the wrong way.
Oops. All right. Well, tonight I brought my friend, John. And so a little bit of background about John. After graduating nursing school in 2013, he went and began working in a large metropolitan neuro ICU. In there, he was part of the, you served as a bedside nurse, right? Charge nurse, rapid SWAT nurse, rapid response nurse, same thing, and also a preceptor. Then in 2015, he founded NRSNG, which some of you guys might remember. So long ago, right, John?
Old days.
Yeah. And which transformed into what you now know is nursing.com. So little fun fact. Yep, best place to learn nursing. I do have my nursing.com shirt on too. A little known fact, guys, this number might blow your mind. I know it did when I was looking at it. But nursing.com has been viewed 70,469,468 times in every country and territory besides, John, do you know?
North Korea.
That's right, North Korea. So if any of you guys decide to go over to North Korea, bring like a little Wi-Fi connector thing. Is that what they're called? I don't even know.
Wi-Fi? Yes, that's the internet.
Is that what they call it nowadays? Bring that with you and log in so that we can get every country and territory. No, I'm only kidding. But as you can see, John, there's no better person than John to show you guys what it takes to be an awesome, amazing nurse. And tonight he agreed. Thank you, John, for agreeing to coming on and talking with you guys and giving you 7 tips on how to be an amazing nurse. So, John, you want to take it away?
I do. So before I get started, though, I had an idea that maybe every time I swear I have to drink a shot of wine or something.
Oh,
do people do shots of wine? I don't really drink wine. You guys think that's a good idea? Put a little wine glass in the comments. I don't even know if I know how to get it open. I just found it.
John, this might be bad.
That might be a bad idea.
Maybe I should do a shot every shot.
Maybe you should do a shot every
Only swear once.
Yeah, exactly. If I swear more than twice, Tammy will be passed out.
I will. That's true. All right. So
guys, I'm really excited about tonight. I think this is such an incredible opportunity for all of us weirdos who believe that nursing education can change, who believe that nursing education can be different, who believe that nursing education can be better, to join together. And I'm really excited because I want to help you guys. I want to help you guys improve. And I think it's such a great opportunity for us to be together and to talk about how we can improve nursing school and really help you guys as well. And I know that a lot of you guys are sacrificing a lot right now. I know a lot of you guys are home alone. You're maybe isolated. You're trying to figure out how you're going to navigate finals. You're preparing for the NCLEX. You're doing all kinds of things to try to navigate what's going on right now. You might be scared about finances. You might be scared about next semester. And I know that you guys are sacrificing right now. And while we are apart, we're not alone. And I want you guys to know that. And I want you guys to know that we don't take these sacrifices lightly. We know that you guys are going through a lot. And I want to thank you guys for taking an hour or so out of your time tonight, and hopefully you can attend the other sessions tomorrow and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I want this hour that you spend with us, this hour that you spend with me, with Tammy, and with everybody in the chat, I want this to be one of the most beneficial hours of your nursing career. I want this to be something that you get something from this that you can take with you, and go on in your career and find greater and greater success. So I know that each of you are here for a reason, and that reason might be different for all of us. Again, all of our reasons for what we go through here are very different. But I hope that as we talk and as I share some things with you, and as we talk, that you kind of write down what that reason is, and you write down something that you learned that maybe helps to address that. And Tammy mentioned, yeah.
Jon, you better get your glass ready.
Did I swear?
No, but they want you to.
Oh, I was like, did I swear?
Not yet.
All right. So Tammy mentioned the number that nursing.com and NRSNG has been viewed over 70 million times. And I want you guys to know that's not possible without the incredible team of people that we've built around us. And more importantly, that's not possible without you guys, without the nursing family. This community is so pivotal to all of us. It's pivotal to we call it the most supportive nursing cohort on the planet. And in this time that we've been working with nursing.com the last few years, we've had the chance to travel all around the world, all around the US, and to meet nurses from all around the world through chat and things like this. And this year, this picture down here at the bottom, this was supposed to be next week or so, was supposed to be our third annual live event where we got together in person. And we don't get to do that, but hopefully through this event this week, we can simulate some of that. And I want you guys to also know, down here is a picture of a bunch of the people who work with nursing.com. Here's Sandy. I think Tammy's over here. No, somewhere. Kenya, Cindy, you guys probably hear from them. Rich, the engineers, a bunch of them. And I want you guys to know that everyone at nursing.com cares about you guys very, very, very deeply. They care about you guys so much. And they know what you guys are going through. Every single Monday to Friday at nursing.com, we read a review, we read a story from one of you guys from our Facebook group about the challenges you're going through. So everyone from our accountants to our marketing team, to the nurses that work here, to the people that create the courses, they all care very, very, very deeply about you guys. So I want you guys to know that you're not alone. And in fact, I want you guys to get your emojis ready, because I want you guys to just do the little hand raise emoji when I ask some of these questions, and hopefully the lag doesn't beat us too much here. But all those who are a little scared about student loans and if they're going to be able to pay those off, go ahead and raise your hand with an emoji. Okay. All of those who are single parents trying to go through nursing school alone, raise your hand. Do a little hand raise emoji. Those of you who are concerned because of everything that's happened with COVID, if you're going to be able to graduate this semester and finish, also do a little hand raise emoji. All right. Those who are scared to start their first IV, do a little hand raise emoji. Right? These are all challenges that so many of us are facing everywhere. All around the world, these are things that people are facing. We hear from so many of you guys so often, and I want you to know that you're not alone. You really, really, really aren't alone. That's what this community is about, and that's what the nursing family is about. So let me introduce myself to some of you who might not know me. Tammy talked a little bit about who I am. My name is Jon Haws. I'm a nurse. I did drop out of nursing school. I did withdraw from nursing school, and I'm going to share with you what led to me withdrawing from nursing school and how I was able to go back and accomplish some of these things. I worked as a neuro ICU trauma, level 1 trauma center. I did work as a preceptor and charge nurse. I also got to work as a donor patient nurse. That's when a patient passes away with brain death, you take over preparing that patient for organ donation. And then in about 2014, 2015 or so, we started NRSNG, and then NRSNG has now become nursing.com. So that's a little bit about who I am. And let's get started. I want to share a little bit of my journey. I loved working in the ICU. This is an example of the kind of patient I would take care of. You know, you have a flow track, you have all these monitors going on, you have multiple vasoactive drips happening. And I really, really, really love this. What you can't see here is over here on the side, you also have a ventilator going on and you have a dialysis machine. And so these patients were incredibly complicated patients, and I love that. That's what I really, really, really love. That's the kind of patient I love taking care of. And just a minute ago, we talked about all those different stresses that you guys are feeling now in nursing school. Okay. On May 6, 1954, a guy by the name of Roger Bannister, and I share this story a lot because it means a lot to me, but a guy by the name of Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. And this was something that for millennia, centuries, decades, leading up to this point, everybody thought was impossible. In fact, you can see the faces on everybody as they watch him pass the finish line with that first 4-minute mile. People literally thought that if you ran a mile under 4 minutes, your body would just fall over and die. Okay. But on May 6, 1954, Roger Bannister ran the first one. And the most amazing thing about this story is that just 46 days later, his training partner, a guy by the name of John Landy, broke the 4-minute mile as well. Now, the important thing about that is this was his training partner. This was someone who watched John train every day, who trained with John, who probably ran right beside John. And he saw him break the 4-minute mile. And the moment John did that, the impossible became possible. This thing that everyone thought was impossible became possible. And John said, man, if Roger can do that, Roger's just a regular guy. He's nothing special. If he can break the 4-minute mile, so can I. And I want to liken that to your nursing journey. You guys are all going through something right now that feels very impossible. But all of us who have been there before, myself and a bunch of us here at nursing.com that you've met through the courses, through the lessons, as you listen to us, we've all been there before as well, and we're not special, okay? We've done it. You can do it too. And part of what I want to talk to you guys about tonight is how you can do that. All right. You guys, you can do this. You can accomplish your goals, and you can become a nurse. But I want to rewind the clock a little bit back to 2011. In 2011, I was living in Houston, Texas with my wife, and I was working as a assistant buyer for a sporting goods store here in Texas called Academy Sports. And at the time, my job was to buy golf balls and make sure all the stores had enough golf balls. And that was my job, and I hated it. I would drive to work miserable. I would come home from work miserable, and I just hated it. So I had the brilliant idea one day. Well, actually, before that happened, we found out my wife was pregnant. And we realized my wife was going to have to, come away from her job for a little bit. And I wasn't making enough to really support the family alone. And I hated my job. And so we came up with this great idea of I was going to go to nursing school. It seemed like a really, really, really good idea. The lawnmower story. It seemed like a really good idea at the time. And so I applied to nursing school. Mind you, we're down in Houston. And I applied to nursing school. And I looked for a program that was nights and weekends because I wanted to be able to take care of our child during the day while my wife worked, and then I could go to nursing school at night. And then she would come home and take care of our son. So I applied to nursing school. I got into a program all the way up in Illinois. So I quit my job in Houston. We moved all the way up to Illinois, and I began nursing school. And I had heard all the horror stories. I heard all the horror stories about how horrible nursing school was. All the same stories you guys have heard about how stressful it is, how overwhelming it is, how you can't, it's just horrible, right? So I prepared for all that, right? I bought my rolling backpack. I got myself ready mentally to study every single second. And in fact, I did. When we first got up there, my wife was still pregnant, and I would wake up at 6, 7 in the morning, go up to the nursing school and stay there till 8 or 9 p.m. studying every single second. And at the end of that semester, I made the very first 4.0 of my life, something that I thought was impossible. Now, towards the end of that semester, in April, right, semesters end about May, towards the end of that semester, our son Taz was born. This is my son. This is a picture of my son Taz, the day or so after he was born. And when he was born with a couple congenital defects that required him to stay in the neonatal ICU for a couple weeks and have, I think, a total of 3 surgeries during the first year of his life. Luckily, the hospital he was in was right across the street from the nursing school. So during the day, I would hang out there with him at the hospital, and I would go to nursing school, and then my wife and I would sleep there in the hospital. And that was kind of our life for a couple weeks. Well, for the 2 weeks he was there, and then the couple surgeries that he had. So then the second semester starts, and I hit the ground just as hard. I'm like, I'm going to study everything. I'm going to do everything I can. And by that point, Taz had come home, and I would take Taz up to the school with me, and he would sleep during my study sessions. And that's kind of all I did. And I made the second 4.0 of my life. All right. And then third semester comes around, and I got that professor. You know the professor I'm talking about, right? I got that professor. And I began to let kind of this negativity, this stress, this overwhelm of nursing school pile up on me. Okay. And this really started to weigh me down. It really started to stress me out, and it started to just eat me alive on the inside. All this frustration, all this anger, all this animosity really started to eat me up. And I started to lose my motivation to be a nurse. But I finished that semester. All right. And then I go into the third semester. Wait, first, second, third. So I go into the fourth semester, fourth out of 5 semesters. And this was January of 2012. I go into my fourth semester. I was in an accelerated BSN program. Go into my fourth semester, and my motivation is really low. And at that semester, I was taking OB and Peds, and I just didn't like OB and Peds. I wasn't interested in it. And I was already at this low point in my motivation. And it got so bad to the point that I didn't think that I wanted to be a nurse anymore. I really started to lose my motivation and my drive to be a nurse. But I finished out that fourth semester. Tammy?
John, these guys want you to drink to that professor.
Oh yeah, should we drink to?
Professor. Yeah.
I won't say her name, but should we drink to her? You guys, I don't do wine. This might kill me. I don't even know how to drink wine.
There you go. Here, I'll drink my water.
Ugh, jet fuel. Oh my god. All right. Bottoms up. Yeah, so that's how that semester went. So my motivation hit a complete rock bottom at the end of that fourth semester. And towards the end of that fourth semester, I came up with this really brilliant idea. I decided that I was going to, this is the lawnmower story. I decided I was going to drop out of nursing school, leave it behind forever, move back to Texas, and start a lawn business that was going to take over the world. I was going to mow yards. All right, that was my big plan. So I tell my wife, that's my wife Sandy over there on the right. I tell my wife, I say, all right, Sandy, here's the plan. I'm going to drop out of nursing school, right? Mind you, just about a year prior to this, I had convinced her to move up to Illinois for me to go to nursing school. And I said, I'm going to drop out of nursing school, and I'm going to start a lawn business to take over the world. She says, dude, John, you're not dropping out of nursing school. You have to withdraw. And so if you want to say the title's misleading because I say drop out versus withdraw, that's fine. But I did, that's kind of how it went. And so the story gets even better, though. I tell her, look, since we don't have the money to go back to Texas and buy like a house or something like that, we're going to move in with my parents. And we're going to bring our son with us. We're going to live with my parents, and I'm going to mow yards. And yeah, the program was a BSN. And so somehow she agrees to that. I agreed to do the withdraw thing, which meant that I had a year to come back and finish before I lost my ability to ever return to that school. So we do that. We move back in with my parents. And we bring our son down. Taz is his name. And I start mowing yards. Buy a couple lawnmowers, put them in the back of a minivan, and I start mowing yards. Well, a couple months into this, I haven't taken over the world yet. Not making very much money. And 5, 6, 7 months into this, one warm winter morning, it was probably like in November or something like that, my wife, it was like a Sunday morning. I remember it was a Sunday morning. I remember I was upstairs, my wife's downstairs, and she goes, John, we need to talk. Any of you who are married who have ever had that, I'm like, oh shoot. So I come downstairs and we go outside. It's a nice warm November, October day. And she goes, John, I'm pregnant. I'm like, oh my God. And in that moment, you guys, I felt like an enormous failure. Here I was, 30 years old. This would have been the very end of 2012. We have a son. We're living with my parents. We're not making ends meet. I'm not making any money. I'm spending everything to try to mow yards. And here we are, we're pregnant. I'm not providing for my family. I felt horrible. It was one of the lowest points of my life. So after some deliberation and some thought, Sandy and I, we talk, and we say, okay, look, we withdrew from nursing school, so thank God, I listened to my wife that time, and we call up the nursing school and say, look, I got to return, I got to come back, I got to finish this up somehow. So at that point, I hadn't opened a nursing book in 8 months or so, and I had to cram everything back into my mind. So I go up to the attic, I find my box of nursing books. These books hadn't been opened. Hadn't cracked these books in nearly a year. And I realized that I had to get all this information. You guys know the stack of nursing books. I had to get that all back into my brain in a matter of, I think it was 2 or 3 months by this time, in order to be able to return to nursing school and finish that last semester. So I realized that those old methods that I was using to cram everything in my brain and force everything to, and just use brute force and study for hours upon hours and upon hours every single day, wasn't going to work. There was no way I was going to get all this into my mind. I had to find a better way to study and a better way to learn. And that's actually, side note, that's where the method that we use to teach in nursing.com was developed. And we call it now the core content mastery method. At that point, it didn't have a name. It was just the way that I realized I had to learn to get all this information back into my mind. So that's how core content mastery came about, and eventually nursing.com. But it's what I had to do out of necessity to try to get all this information back into my mind. So my wife's pregnant. I'm still mowing yards, getting ready to go back to nursing school, and we're rolling into 2013, the beginning of 2013. So realize, we talked with the nursing school. They're like, yeah, you can come back. Here's the things you need to do to be able to come back. Had to go back to Illinois, right? But my wife, remember, she's pregnant, and we're down in Texas. That's where our OB is and all that, and our son, and our family. And so we talk to the OB, and we find out that, our daughter's due date. And it happens that the due date and the beginning of that last semester line up so close. So we talk to the OB and we say, hey, if Sandy hasn't had the baby yet, is it possible to induce on this date? And they say, yeah, we can do that. And so we actually get all the way to that date, and we have Sandy's induced. And the very next day, I loaded up all the gear I would need, my suitcases and some food, into our little tiny beat up Honda Civic. Said goodbye to my kids. It's one of the hardest moments of my life. Said goodbye to my kids and my wife, and I drive back up to nursing school to finish. It was a very hard time, just leaving them behind and going back to finish. And Sandy's going to stay in Texas for a few weeks, make sure Kai's healthy, and then she's going to follow up after that. So I get up there. Remember, we have no money. Right now, at this point, we're living on food stamps, WIC, Medicaid, living with my parents, have no income. And in fact, we had to borrow money from my parents and my in-laws in order to pay for this last semester. We're just completely destitute, and just had a new baby. So I have all my supplies, everything I need. I get up to nursing school, the day before it's going to start or whatever. And I get my bags, lay them out on the floor into our apartment that we're going to move into for that last semester, and realize we don't have a bed. I don't have a bed. I had nothing to sleep on. I had a blanket, but no bed. And so as I'm driving around, kind of preparing for school the next day, I pass by the dumpster, the big dumpsters that there are in apartment complexes. And I see out of the corner of my eye, big mattress sitting next to the dumpster. And I think, bingo. So I back my Civic up to the dumpster, get out, throw this big old mattress on top of the Civic, drive it over to our apartment, lug it up the stairs, put it on the floor, and that became my bed for that last semester. Luckily, there were no bed bugs on it, and I had a bed. And then a couple weeks later, my wife comes up, and again, we didn't have much, and so she actually purchased a bunch of food there in Texas, made it into these frozen meals, brought it up there, and that was our last semester. Our table was a card table. Our bed was a dumpster mattress bed. We were borrowing money from my parents. We were living on Medicaid and food stamps and WIC. And it was an incredibly challenging time. But it was also a really special time, because at that moment, that focus and that drive to be a nurse was so high, albeit maybe because I was backed into a corner, but that drive was so high that was really kind of a special time for our family. So then I graduate nursing school, pass the NCLEX, get a job at a big hospital down in Dallas, It was a 30-bed neuro ICU. So this is what one of the hallways looked like. There were 3 of these hallways. These were trauma patients. These were surgical patients. It was just an incredible time. So, and this was kind of one of the patients we'd take care of. Yeah, the call light's down here. Don't tell your professor. This is an unconscious patient, also on propofol and stuff. So, but that's kind of patients that I would take care of, and I just really, really, really loved it. And I would like to share a story with you guys about that, if that's okay. If that's okay, just go ahead and type yes in the comments, and let me know if I can share a story. I've shared this story multiple times before, so a lot of you have probably heard it, but I would love to share it with you guys.
While we're kind of waiting, I'm just going to kind of tell you what some people are saying here.
Should I refill? I'm out.
You probably should. A lot of people are, I know, they're just feeling kind of too old to start nursing school. I
mean, I'll address that really quick. So I wasn't old. Right now, I would say that I'm not. Now that I'm almost 40, I would say that being 30 wasn't that old. But in my class, there were people as old as my parents, in their 60s, going through nursing school. The biggest thing that I would tell people is realize that if you have to take loans, that it is very expensive. Make sure that you can afford that. But if it's a desire to go for it, don't let the age hold you back. But things like finances and how you're going to take care of your family and stuff, I would definitely consider those for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, looks like I should tell a story. So I've told this story before. Some of you guys have probably heard it, but it's one of my favorite stories about what it means to be a nurse. So I got a job at this big hospital, so I was lucky enough to go through an internship where you go through like 13 weeks next to an experienced ICU nurse. And my preceptor, her name was Vanessa. And Vanessa was your typical ICU nurse. She was on top of things. She loved it. She taught me really, really well. And she pushed me really, really hard. But at the end of that, I had to be on my own. And my very first day of being a quote unquote real nurse on my own without a preceptor, I remember showing up, and our floor was on the 5th floor in this big tower, this big trauma tower. And I arrived to work. I take the elevator up to the 5th floor. And as I'm coming off the elevator, Jennifer's coming on. Jennifer was the day shift charge nurse. And she's coming on the elevator, and I'm going off to start my shift. And as I'm going off, I say, "Hey, Jennifer, do you really think I'm ready to be all on my own?" And she goes, "You better be," pushes the down button and the doors close and leave. I remember that like it was yesterday. And so a couple weeks after that, a couple weeks of kind of being on my own, I was given the chance to take care of a patient who they were going to withdraw care on. Now, when they're about to withdraw care, it means they turn off the ventilator, turn off the medications, and let the patient expire. So this is a really, really, really involved process where it involves, coordinating care with a respiratory therapist, with a physician, with the coroner, with chaplain, with family. And so I had never done it on my own. And so I'm scared, right? I'm a brand new nurse and I'm really scared. And as I get that assignment, I walk around the corner and all the families already arrived. They're kind of spilled out into the hallway where the patient's room was. And I go into the room and I try to look as calm and collected as I can be. And I tell them, I'm John, I'm going to be your nurse tonight. Here's kind of what is expected as we go through this. So I start coordinating the care, and we get the physician there, we get the respiratory therapist there, we turn off the ventilator. And after we turn off the ventilator, we unplug all the tubes, unplug all the lines, stop all the IVs and stuff so the family can say goodbye. And there's probably 20 or 30 people there. And there with everybody is his mom. This was a younger guy, maybe in his 40s or so. So his mom's there. She's in her 60s. She's just a little tiny old lady. And then all the family's there. And so I shut the blinds, I shut the door. I just stand outside the room and wait for everybody to say their goodbyes. And the last person to leave the room, of course, is his mom. And after she said her goodbyes, after some time has passed, she comes out of the room. And the first thing she does is turn the corner, and she reaches around and gives me this big hug. She probably only came up to about here on me. Gives me this big hug, and she goes, "Thank you, John. I love you. I will always remember you. Thank you for taking care of my son." And I remember that very, very vividly, even though it was several years ago, 2013 probably, yeah. Because it meant a lot to me. It was in that moment. And here's what I want everybody to realize and know is that I know that she wasn't talking to John, me. She was talking to John, the nurse. And in that moment, I realized that I represented my entire hospital. I represented all nurses. I represented you. I represented everybody who's going to become a nurse. In that moment, she was talking to me as a nurse. And I was the last person who was going to take care of her son. At that moment, she was going to leave me alone with her son to take care of him. And the next time she would see him would be at his funeral. And I want you guys to know that the time is going to come. You pass the NCLEX, not if, but when you pass the NCLEX, and you're going to represent me. You're going to represent everybody else here in the chat right now. You're going to represent everybody who plans on becoming a nurse and every nurse who is a nurse. People remember their nurses. They remember that person who makes them feel loved, cared about, and special. And in fact, I remember one time when my son Taz was in the hospital, right after he was just born and about to have his first surgery, right after his first surgery, my wife and I were exhausted. And one night we went down to the hospital cafeteria. I got a little chimichanga. And as we came back up to his room, the lights are kind of low. It's late at night. I don't remember what time. And I remember his nurse, Stacy. I still remember her. This is 9 years ago. I remember his nurse, Stacy, was sitting there giving him a nice bath, massaging him, cuddling him, keeping him safe and warm. And in that moment, that meant so much to me. And now, almost a decade later, I remember her. I remember her name. I don't remember really any of the other nurses, but I do remember her. And the time's going to come, guys, when you will be that nurse to somebody else. So that's going to be a really special time. You guys are not alone. You represent all of us. And this is such a special, special thing for you to be able to do. So, guys, that's a little bit of my journey. Yes, I did withdraw from nursing school. Yes, I did go back. Yes, I finished. And I want to share with you 7 tips to stay mentally sane in nursing school so that you don't end up doing what I did, or so you can, if you do end up withdrawing or whatever, that you go back and finish, because this is such an incredible career. All right. Some of you guys know Nurse Bass. Nurse Bass is a guy I really, really admire and appreciate. My first tip, if you're taking notes, if you have your phone, take some screenshots of this page and of the 7 tips that I'm going to share. But Nurse Bass talks about when he was going through nursing school, he had his nursing channel where he would talk about his nursing journey, but then he also started up a fitness YouTube channel where he would talk about his fitness journey, and he had another one that was about video games. So I want you guys to think about not becoming unidimensional. If you remember back to my 3rd semester of nursing school, all I could think about was this stress, this frustration of this one professor, and it ate me alive. And I want you guys to avoid doing that so that you guys have other hobbies. You are a person, you are Tamika the nurse, you are Amy the nursing student, you are Tammy the nursing student, Liz the nursing student, but you're also Liz, Tamika, Amy. You are somebody, and make sure you spend some time for yourself and to get your mind off of nursing a little bit. The second tip is that realize that after nursing school is when you begin to learn in exponential leaps. Nursing school and the NCLEX are nothing like real life nursing. And specifically, I want to tell you guys that on the NCLEX, on question 1, you're going to get a question about a peds patient. On question 2, you're going to get a patient who just got burned. And on question 3, you're going to get a community health patient. That is nothing like real life nursing. Once you graduate, you can start really dialing in and focusing on specializing in one thing. After I graduated, became a neuro nurse, my OB and peds book went in the garbage. And I started buying neuro books, neuro book after neuro book after neuro book, and just read and studied those books. And I became a very, very, very skilled neuro nurse. And I was able to learn deeper and deeper and deeper there. So what I want you guys to take away from this is don't hold yourself, don't beat yourself up for not knowing everything about everything right now. You need to know enough to be safe so you can pass the NCLEX, and then you can begin to dive in. Develop healthy habits, says the guy holding a bottle of wine. I promise, guys, look, you can see it's full, and I'm definitely not going to finish it. I'm going to come close. Develop healthy habits. Even if it's not exercising, working out, being vegan, whatever it is, get up in the morning and start walking. Get up in the morning, listen to some calm music, go for a walk. Try to balance out your diet so that you can balance out your entire life. As the stress builds up, as all this stuff starts to build up, if you're not counterbalancing that with some healthy habits, then you're going to really end up in trouble. And again, I'm not saying go crazy on the healthy habits. You don't have to, but replace some soda with some water. Go for a walk in the mornings. That's all you guys really need to do. The number 4 is you are not your grades. And I do want to talk about how in that first semester 1 and 2, it was so important to me that I got that 4.0, but you're not your grades. You are not the grade that appears on your report card. And that can't ever fully reflect what it is that you know and what it is that you understand about your patient. Okay, so, and there's a picture there of Tiger Woods. And so the story here with Tiger Woods is, imagine if every time Tiger Woods fell in a sand trap, he just gave up and he's like, I'm the worst golfer. No, I mean, he hits bad shots, but he recenters, refocuses, and goes for the hole. You guys are on this journey. You're going to have some bad shots. You're going to have some bad grades. You're going to have some bad tests. That's okay. You are not your grades. All right. And then the 5th tip is deep work. This advice comes from a book by the same name. If you have any time over the summer break or whatever, pick up this book. It's called Deep Work by Cal Newport. And the idea behind deep work is that when it is time to focus on studying nursing, that is the only thing you do. You can see even here, I put my phone and everything aside. You don't keep your phone open. You don't keep your notifications on. You don't keep your social open. When it's time to study, everything else goes away. You close everything else down and you focus just on that one thing. If you tie this into something called the Pomodoro technique, where the Pomodoro technique is you focus really hard for 20 minutes, then you take a 5-minute break. Focus hard for 20 minutes, take a 5-minute break. That can really help you. Especially I saw some people saying they have ADD, dyslexia. I think that nursing.com is a great platform for that because all of our videos are 8 minutes. And I think that if you really dial in and focus for 20 minutes, turn everything off, then get up, walk around, run around. When we're homeschooling our son right now, he actually has ADD and dyslexia as well. And that's how we do it with him. He studies for a little bit. He's allowed to bounce. He's allowed to swing on a swing. And then there's breaks where he can run around and go crazy. So then when you come back to focus and come back to center, you can really study. Now, another one is find a good friend or start keeping a journal. As you guys go through nursing school, you're going to go through some hard shit. Drink to that. You're going to go through some hard stuff. Nursing school is hard. And then even more when you become a nurse, you're going to see some really, really, really tough things, especially if you begin working right now during something like COVID. You're going to see young kids die. You're going to see people come into the world. You're going to see people leave the world. You're going to see some really, really, really difficult and hard things. One of the best ways to help vent with this is just with a good friend or keeping a journal. I was lucky enough to have my wife, who is a dietitian, works in hospitals, actually worked in critical care. So I was able to work with her, tell her about the stories I was seeing, obviously all HIPAA compliant, but I was able to tell her some of the things I was seeing, and that helped a lot. And for you guys as well, find that person. If you have a person, talk to that person. If you don't, keep a little journal. This is what I saw today. This is what I went through today. If you don't have that, even another tip would be just pull up the voice app on your phone and just record on your way home from work. Just put it up there and just talk, just vent, get it out. It's okay to do that. And a lot of times getting it out of your head makes it all okay. All right. Having it stay up here in your head is where you're going to start to eat yourself alive. And the last tip I want to give you guys is that life is a journey, and something called the power of yet. I don't know how many of you guys have probably heard of Brene Brown. I think, no, it's not her. It's Carol Dweck. Actually, it's a Stanford psychologist who writes the book. I can't remember the name of the book. But anyway, she talks about this idea of the power of, if one of you guys in the chat knows Carol Dweck and her book, I can't remember. But it's this idea of the power of yet. So often in nursing, we're all type A personalities. We all are high achievers. And what happens a lot of times, we'll say, oh, I'm no good at IVs. I'm not a good test taker. I'm blah, 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 blah. We make all these definitive statements about who we are. There's another way you can say that. You can say, I'm not good at IVs yet. I can't start Foley's yet. Just adding that one word yet gives you permission to improve. And life is a journey. We are improving. It's something that we're always getting better at. I'm not good at NCLEX questions yet. That gives you permission and the power to improve. The most important thing about all this, guys, is that we're not all on the same track. It's okay that Tamika or that Thomas or that Melvia or Tammy or James, it's okay if they do better this semester. It's okay if they finish and I don't. We're not racing against each other. We're actually all in this together. We want to take care of patients. So I don't need to be comparing myself and judging myself. Like Mindset. Yes, thank you, Liz. Mindset. Such a good book. If you guys can read that book, Mindset, it's one of the best books ever. But guys, life is a journey. You don't have to be comparing yourselves to other people. We want more nurses. All right? We can help each other. Yet. It's so powerful. We've actually done this with our kids a lot, and it's been really, really helpful to them, especially at this young age where they're hearing them say that, like, I'm not good at that yet. Because we're so black and white with ourselves so many times. We're so, I'm good or I'm not, you know, and I think giving yourselves that power of yet is such a powerful thing. So let's see. So that's all the things. So you guys did come with something. Hopefully you've learned something. When you guys get back to school tomorrow, when you log off after this tonight, all the shit's going to come back. And it's all going to get real again, right? So I want you to write down one thing, you know, whether it's on your phone or on a piece of paper or whatever, one thing from tonight that you can take away to get closer to achieving your goal of becoming a nurse. All right. And as you guys are writing that thing down, if it's something you want to share publicly, go ahead and share it in the chat too. Go ahead and share that one thing that you've taken away or that you're going to start doing the moment we hang up or tomorrow morning. But let me share one last story, as you guys are typing that down or writing that down. This is my daughter, Kai. Tamika says she likes the power of yet. This is my daughter, Kai. She was born with like rose-colored glasses on, rainbows and unicorns. Everything is beautiful and perfect in her mind. I'm not. I'm definitely more cynical. So is my wife. So is my son. But one day here in Texas on a spring day, somewhat like today, I was out walking with my daughter Kai from the park, and we were coming home. She was maybe 4 at the time or 5. And we're walking in Texas during the spring. We get tons of dandelions. You know, and I see dandelions as a weed, especially, you know, because I used to have a world-dominating lawn care business. No. We're walking home, and there's dandelions all over the place. And Kai's holding my hand, and she goes, "Daddy, do you know why there's dandelions?" And I say, "No, Kai, why are there dandelions?" She lets go of my hand, takes off running through the neighbor's yard, kicking every dandelion up in the air, spreading seeds everywhere, screaming, "So kids can have fun!" And I love that story, and I share it a lot because of this. Nursing school is hard. There's dandelions everywhere. There's the hard stuff that you have to go through. There's weeds, there's problems, there's all the professors, the tuition, the COVID, the everything that you have to go through in nursing school. We can see all of those as weeds, right? Or we can be like Kai, and we can see them as opportunities to grow, to improve, and to get a little bit better. Guys, we love you. We really, really, really want you to succeed. I think Tammy will come back on now. I can answer some of your questions, but hopefully you guys have learned something. Hopefully this is something you can take away. And please come back tomorrow, the next day, all week, Tuesday to Friday now, to see all the other incredible people who I work with.
Yeah. So as you guys go ahead and if you guys have questions for Jon, go ahead and start writing them in the chat. And while we're waiting, I'm just going to kind of read what people wrote down. Is that okay, Jon?
Mm-hmm.
So Melvin said, when I got to class, I think about the reasons why I want to be a nurse. So I think that's great, right? Like, why are you here in the first place, you know? Liz
looks
said,
like a lot of people are pulling out the power of, that's good. That was such a game changer for me a couple of years ago when I read that book. If you have time to read that book, I would, because she talks about personal, she talks about with kids, with business, with life, with everything. It's such a great investment if you can get it. Buy a cheap old version on Amazon for a couple bucks. It's a very powerful book.
Yeah, a lot of people are commenting on that. Hello, I need to hear this today. Thank you. So
You're welcome.
yeah.
I did see someone say, do I miss nursing? And I was going to stop and address it. I don't remember who it was, but I will tell you that there are times when I miss it desperately. It was a really, really, really hard decision for me to step away from the bedside and go education full time. Tammy, you worked actually in trauma as well as a trauma and surge tech. And I saw some people talking about surge tech on here too, but leaving trauma is really, really, really hard. Like you live for it. Like it's this adrenaline junk. It's like trying to quit coffee. Like you don't just quit it. But the demand that, NRSNG and nursing.com started to become was so great that even now, I do 60, 80 hours a week. It's all I do now. But I wish that there were times that I could just go up once a month or so and just help out in codes and stuff, because I love that stuff so much.
Yeah, same. Like sometimes people ask me that too, and I'm like, yes, I do, but so people really want to hear about that nurse, Jon.
Well, let me say that. Let me preface it by saying this: the majority of nursing professors are phenomenal people. They're so great, they're so wonderful, and they care about you guys so much. We've had the opportunity, especially with COVID right now, to talk to thousands. I think about 9,000 nursing professors, or 1,200, something like that, nursing professors throughout the country. And they care about you guys as much as we do, the ones that we're talking to. However, as with anything, as with nurses, with nursing students, there's some bad apples. And we got to just acknowledge that. I think acknowledging that allows us to fix it. Yes, there's some bad nursing students. Yes, there's some bad nurses. Yes, there's some bad school teachers. There's some people who just don't care. And the story I like to tell about this professor is just, it's funny to me because it's probably the best example. But so one time we were doing papers, right? And there was this girl in my class whose last name was V-A-N-G, whatever. I don't remember what it was, but it was like capital V-A-N, capital G-E-R, right? Like Van, whatever. So like, because that's her name, that's how it's spelled, right? So when the papers come back, this professor had gone in there and counted her off on her paper, taking her from an A down to a B or whatever, because she said she didn't write her name according to APA formatting. It's a true story.
I remember that one that you said.
Yeah,
I remember that one. Let's see. Somebody said they had a farm test and they're so nervous about it on Thursday. Do you have any advice for them?
I don't have any stuff to crash learn farm. However, to help you really learn farm, we actually have something that we call the S.O.C method. Tammy, maybe you can find that blog post. Just type S.O.C method pharmacology.
Yeah, I'll post it right here in comments.
Yeah, just post it in the comments. S.O.C method pharmacology. There is a lesson up on the Academy where you can go and watch it. It's really, really well done. We have multiple lessons there. But if you read this post that's free, and we even have a cheat sheet with it for free, if you just type S.O.C method pharmacology, you can find it. I don't think that you have time to like cram all this into, but what we do with that is we teach you kind of a 4-step method for mastering pharmacology.
Yeah.
All yes, right, that's it.
In there. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. Sorry. After doing that, now I've kind of lost all the comments here.
Sorry.
Okay. More ways to stay motivated in nursing school, and how to not compare yourself with others.
So I'm a really competitive person. So naturally, I kind of have a tendency to compare myself to others. And I don't know whether it's competitively comparing myself. So it can be really, really, really hard for me to not compare myself to others. And when I finally stopped doing that, I think was actually when I kind of started doing NRSNG.com, the first iteration of all this. I had a cousin who had just sold a business for a huge amount of money. And the first reaction was like, well, damn it. Does damn it count as a swear word?
Yeah, Jon, come on.
I was like, dang.
Thought you were going to drink the whole bottle, huh?
It's not fair, But talking with him and thinking about because he had shared with me a lot of his journey, and I realized, man, this guy's worked really, really hard, and good for him for having that success, and that's awesome, and that's it's great for him. And I really, after that, began to really realize that, look, like, we're all on our own journey. I'm not racing him. I'm not racing you. I'm not racing Tammy anywhere, because we're each going different places. So I had to let go of that, right? And had to let go of some of that pride of being the first one to do everything, right? I mean, I was a 30-year-old college graduate barely, so I had to let go of that and just really focus on being the best that I can be. And like I am wearing that shirt, be your best self. And again, like I said, I'm not really this like super like positive chipper person, but be your best self. Like, really, that your should be underlined. Be your best self. What's best for me is not the same for Tammy. Tammy does Ironman, right? So for her, that's good. Her best self, she's got to run 30 miles. Me, if I can walk, about 3 miles a day, that's great for me, because that's about my 10,000 steps. And that's the best for me. It doesn't matter what's best for Tammy.
Yeah,
I don't think that did anything. I feel like I'm rambling.
No, no. I think that's great. Like, just don't compare yourself to others, because they're going to be going down this path that is better for them, and then this path is better for you. So.
Svetlana says NP or PA. I would say NP all the way, personally, because one of the best things about NP is after a year and a half or so of nursing school, you can come out, become a nurse, and you get a tremendous amount of bedside experience working with patients and understanding the healthcare system. Where in PA school, you don't really get that. You do have to get your bachelor's anyway to go to PA school. And you're going to miss out on a lot of that bedside patient healthcare system experience that you would get otherwise. Gary V. I love Gary V.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the NP route. It opens up a lot of things, and you get to learn more about healthcare and make a good salary along the way. And you can even do NP school online.
Yeah. How much time should they give themselves before taking the NCLEX?
So according to research, I think even by the NCSB, and I don't have the link on me right now, but best practice is 45 days. After you hit that 45-day mark from graduation to NCLEX, they start to see actually a downtrend of passing. I don't know what that's going to look like with COVID, but since you're not having as much in-class experience and stuff, for some of you that might be better. For me, that I'm not a great in-class learner, but they see 45 days as kind of the optimal point.
How to deal with the stress mostly. All right. Yeah.
Just kidding. No. Actually, I really don't drink much at all.
Don't.
I can honestly say that the thing that helps most with stress, and I alluded to this a little bit in the healthy habits, is this. And the reason I share this thing is because it's so simple. Is something called the Miracle Morning, and there's even a book by a guy named Hal Elrod, HALERELROD, Hal Elrod, Miracle Morning, and he has a really miraculous story. It's really great. But the essential point of it is wake up before all the hustle and bustle. Don't get on your phone first thing. Instead, get up, go for a walk, read some affirmations, and meditate for a minute. I'm not a meditator. I'm not good at it. I can't keep my mind quiet for very long. But try to keep your mind quiet for 2 minutes. Go for a walk, get some blood moving. And that's how I've pared down the Miracle Morning. He has all these other steps with it, but go for a walk while it's quiet, while it's cool outside, while the world's quiet. Don't get on your phone first thing, and then try to meditate for a minute.
Yeah. So somebody was asking, I'm almost done with nursing school and struggle to find what field I want to work in. Any tips, ideas of what department a new nurse should start in?
Hold on to that question really quick. So Svetlana says that she's already an MD. So if you're already an MD, you would probably prefer actually to go the PA route, because it's based more on the medical model. The nursing model from the medical model is so different. Okay, what was it?
Somebody wants to know if you have any tips or ideas of what department a new nurse should start in.
No, and I probably won't give you tips. I would, because Miss Kittiful just turned it back on me. Nice. You're not good at meditating yet. Thank you.
There you go, John.
Thank you. So I won't give tips on where you should start. Again, this is you. Your journey is different. for me, I knew that ED, ICU is where I wanted to go. I was able to interview in both. ICU seemed like a better experience and better place for me. So I went ICU right out of nursing school because I knew that if I was 6 patients on a med surg floor, I wasn't going to survive. I needed that higher octane nursing, and that was right for me. So I didn't waste time on other places. So I would go for what you want to go for, give it a shot, and see how you go.
So Emma says, I am recently starting nursing school in January 2021. I first need to take the ATITs. Any advice or suggestions would be appreciated. Thanks.
Yes. So we have a new podcast that's actually going to be coming out in just a couple days, actually. Yeah. I think the YouTube channel might already be up, but it's pre-nursing questions or HESI. So if you go in YouTube, even give the link to that channel. So it's a whole new channel. It's not on this main channel, but we just started a HESI practice question channel. And then it's going to be coming out as a podcast here in just the next couple days. We actually just submitted it to iTunes today. So I think that'll help you a lot.
Let me get that link really quick on YouTube. John, how many times did you take the NCLEX?
I was able to take it once, and that was all I would ever wish on anyone. But if you have to take it multiple, we can help you there too. But so Tamika, I want to talk to Tamika's question. She says, it's so much info to study for NCLEX. Do you think you ever feel prepared? No. So I felt, so I'd taken all these different tools that were out there before. I'd tried a bunch of stuff. And when I had scored really, really well on them, and I'd done really well in school. And my wife, Sandy, kept telling me, like, of course you're going to pass. Of course you're going to pass. And I was like, yes, but what if I don't? And even when I walked out of the NCLEX, I didn't know if I passed. I walked out, called her, and she's like, how did it go? I was like, I don't know. I don't think you ever feel prepared. I think some of the things that you can do, for example, would be like taking a Synclex. Tammy, your camera's all...
I am so sorry.
Oh my God. Who's drinking the wine right now? Luckily, you were wearing pants. Yeah, so I don't think anybody ever really feels prepared, but something like the Synclex, where if you can pass a Synclex, it's as close as possible as it can be to passing the NCLEX. And so I would suggest something like that. If you're scoring well on these predictor exams, whether you're using UWorld or Kaplan or US, generally you have a pretty good chance. Now remember, about 70% of all first-time takers pass. Okay, so you already have a pretty high chance of passing. So just if you're studying well, if you're working hard, if you do some of these predictors, your chances are pretty high.
All right, I just put the link in there. That's what I was moving around for, but I just put the link in there for the pre-nursing practice questions.
How do you take a Synclex? So the Synclex is available through our NCLEX prep product. It's just over on nursing.com. Click NCLEX, and the Synclex, I think you get 3 or 5 of them in there. If you buy the bundle, I think you get 5.
Yeah, correct.
Vivian says, we're all here quarantined while studying. Any words of advice on how to strategize our study time as we have so much on our hands? Yeah, I think so. I'll actually relate this to remote working. And the reason I'll do that is every time I call Tammy, she's sitting in the same spot for work. Every time I call Chance or anytime anybody calls me, we're at the same spot working. And the reason is you really need to dedicate a space to work and a space to not work. So when you sit down with your computer at whatever table, whatever chair, whatever closet, whatever, I actually have my office in the closet. When you sit down in that chair, that's what you do. And to make myself force that even more, I actually disconnected the Wi-Fi from my computer so that I can't just walk around the house with my laptop. When I sit down at my laptop, it's time to work. And that's what I'm going to be doing. So the first thing I would say with being quarantined and being at home in the same place you study or work is dedicate a specific spot to your work. And when you're not in that spot, allow yourself to relax. Got 1 or 2 more, Tavy?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Somebody just said, subscribe to the pre-nursing. Awesome.
I think that'll help a lot.
I'm in the middle of packing to move across the country, studying for the NCLEX RN. Woo!
Awesome.
That's a lot. Random question. John, will you pursue a career as a nurse practitioner?
So I was actually accepted to nurse practitioner school. So if you guys want to hear a little, I'll tell a little bit more of my story. I'll tell a 5-minute version of my story if people want to hear it. Otherwise, are there other kind of questions specifically, or I don't want to take up a bunch of people's time if they got to go, but.
Yeah, this kind of was already answered, but how often do you suggest studying for the NCLEX? Days, weeks, hours, days? I just graduated 5-1 and have yet to study just yet. I am not even sure where to start.
Yeah, so it all depends on where you're at. That's one of the nice things about NPQ or other places where you go. If you do NPQ question bank on nursing.com, we'll tell you kind of where you rank in each category. And a lot of places will do that too. So depending on how you're ranking, depends on kind of how much you really should spend studying and stuff like that. But I would suggest really taking up to 200 questions a day at a minimum as you're preparing for NCLEX. Okay, so some people want to hear it. So I'll say, so when I graduated nursing school, even when I started nursing school, really the end goal was kind of become a CRNA. And that was really kind of what kind of got me really dialed into it. The idea of being in surgeries and intubating and all that stuff sounded really exciting for me. So I really planned on being a CRNA. So I got a job in an ICU. Within 1 year, I got my CCRN, was a charge nurse and all that stuff, really driven towards that. At the same time, though, I started posting some of my notes and stuff like that about nursing school on NRSNG. And it really started resonating with a lot of people. I didn't realize that so many people were struggling the way that I did through nursing school. I swear to God, I honestly didn't. I thought I was the only person who had a terrible nursing experience. So as I shared that and the reviews started coming in of like, oh my God, I thought you were talking about my school, I started realizing there was this huge need. So I kept posting there. But in the meantime, I took the GRE, I took my CCRN, started doing all these things. And then I wasn't sure, was I going to do CRNA or was I going to do nurse practitioner? So I actually applied to nurse practitioner school because it was a little bit quicker. And I got into nurse practitioner school at UT Tyler. And as that was about to preparing to get started there and attend that, by the way, I had just barely washed my hands and taken a shower before this. I did touch my eye, but hands are clean, hands are washed. I actually, as I was getting prepared to start nurse practitioner school, and I was still debating on CRNA, NRSNG just told my wife, I was like, what if we give this nursing thing a little more effort? And what if we spent a whole year really working on this nursing thing? And so we said, okay, let's do that. And we focused on working with more nursing students around the world, and it just continued to grow. So I don't see myself actually going back at this point. Right now, honestly, Tammy can attest to that. I work 80 hours a week of actual work, and then my mind never stops. I dream about this business. Our mission is to end the nursing shortage, like Thomas just said, and that's an enormous task. We need about 200,000 additional nurses taking the NCLEX every year, or more than doubling the current NCLEX test taking rate. So in order for that to happen, something transformative is going to have to occur, and I intend to have nursing.com be the company that does that.
So somebody asked any tips on those critical thinking questions, and I put a link to a YouTube episode that John did on critical thinking questions. So you can click there, or John, you can tackle that question. Whichever.
No, that's good. I think that'll help.
Okay. So I have nursing as a student. Do I order a different program when I graduate, or will using this program help me develop to be NCLEX ready?
Is that for me?
Well, I mean, I can answer it, but you can answer it. If you
Go ahead.
So the nursing student, you can use it, but with the nursing student, you do not get the SIMCLEX. I always tell people, if you're just started nursing school, I always say, hey, grab the bundle, because that has the NCLEX prep, that has all the nursing student material, and that also has new grads. So that's kind of what I suggest doing for that.
I think in a lot of ways, it's how much hand holding do you want and organization do you want? The NCLEX really pulls out a little more catered to NCLEX stuff, where a lot of it can be found and dug through and stuff otherwise.
Noelle says, how do I prepare for med surge? I mean, if you have nursing, I don't know, John, if you have nursing.com, I can definitely show you. I can put my email address in here too. You guys can send me an email and I'll show you how you can use nursing.com to study for med surge, study for NCLEX, any class really. So
So seeing a lot of these great compliments, guys, it honestly means the world to us every time. And I do want you guys to know that I'm not like making it up. We really do read one of your reviews as a company, like every day of the week. Because a lot of our, people who are marketers or accountants or engineers, they didn't go through the same struggles you're going through, but I want you to know that they do understand them because they spend time in our Facebook group and here watching and listening to you guys.
It is true. What is the most important advice you could give a 50-year-old nursing student entertaining the first semester of this fall? Entering the first semester this fall.
Regardless of age, the best thing that you can do is, leading up to that month before nursing school is just relax. Honestly, there's so much to learn. Some things that I wish I had maybe done prior to nursing school was develop a good note-taking method. We actually recommend the Cornell note-taking method. If you type in Cornell notes nursing, we have a blog post on that too. So I recommend that. Or something that works for you is developing a good note-taking method. And then also I wish I had reviewed anatomy and physiology a little bit more. It was my favorite subject in undergrad, but I didn't prepare it right before. So, but regardless of age, that's what I'd recommend. If you want to talk age, I would say use your age as an advantage. Like most of your patients are going to be twice your age, even as a 50-year-old. So you have all that life experience that you can take and bring with you as you practice. So
I'm just going to put that Cornell note-taking right here really quick. If you want
Tammy, I think I need to go help Taz get to bed.
Okay. Well, then let us sign off here. We went over quite a bit. I said 45 minutes. But guys, I want to thank you so much for coming out tonight. I hope this has been helpful. I know I had fun interacting with all of you guys. John, I know you did too. Tomorrow night, we have Sandy, and she'll be talking about how you can save 4 hours of study time per week. I just want you to know that we have the most...
The Power of Yet. It's actually from a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. Carol, D-W-E-C-K. Mindset. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Guys, we have the most powerful, supportive cohort on the planet over on our private Facebook group for members. We call it our nursing family. We talked about the nursing family all night tonight. We invite you guys to go over to nursing.com to learn more and join for $1. There, you guys can see if it's right for you and see if it helps. As always, we want you guys to succeed. Now go out and be your best selves today. And John?
Happy nursing. Bye, guys. Thank you.
See you tomorrow night.